trying to fill up stadiums, minimum sold out. Mind, body, and soul. Got a heart full of gold. They can never hold me down. I keep my name on the low. How wild, my opponent been trying to chase for miles. The distance between looking like the West now. And my stamina adding up from setback, standing up. Look crazy, they see me and start pulling out their cameras.
This is the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Big dreams for a big problem.
The cars may be virtual, but the racing and scholarships are real.
Big dreams for a big problem. We got big bags, they got big problems. They big mad that we big got it. I turn a big dream to a big profit. I turn a big dreams for a big profit. We got big bags, they got big problems. They big mad that we big got it. I turn a big dream to a big profit. I turn a big dream to a big profit.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to iRacing's coverage of the ninth final and championship race for the 2024-25 season of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, live from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. James Pike alongside Taylor Burris and Joshua Lee. And Taylor, championship night, $10,000 in scholarship money going to the winner at Homestead-Miami in this winner-take-all race. Points don't matter. Nothing else matters. Take the checkered flag before everybody else. That's what matters tonight.
We'll talk about a graduation day for sure for every single one of these 25 drivers that are about to go head-to-head for the ultimate prize of $10,000. I gotta say, it's a great track that we're here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. That's going to push the limits of each and every single one of these drivers and bring the excitement level up for every school that's here competing in this championship.
And Joshua, if you're picking a winner-take-all track, how about Homestead-Miami Speedway, a classic mile-and-a-half in the eNASCAR landscape, and a track where it really is in the driver's hands because you can run multiple lanes here. And if you know how to drive this track well, if you have a fast car, more often than not, you can find your way to the front.
This is not your typical intermediate track that we are going to be crowning our champion tonight. It's crowned numerous NASCAR champions. It is now a mainstay on the NASCAR Cup Series calendar. And going into tonight, the prizes that these drivers have at their disposal is upwards of $30,000 total across the field. Whoever wins tonight and wins the championship is going to walk away with their share of $10,000. And that is not a steady decline from there, James. The difference between first and second place, $5,500. There is everything to race for within this top 10.
And Taylor Burris, you take in this purse for the championship race and add in the individual race purses for our other 8 events this season. It pushes the total purse for the 24-25 campaign to over $60,000 in scholarship money.
Absolutely. It's exciting to see that here. But, of course, James, there's something else we got to talk about that you're going to touch on. Is about the special prizes for everyone who's tuning in for this event.
Yes, drivers that have competed in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series and have completed at least one time attack event are automatically entered for a chance to win one of 8 prize packs, including a Logitech G923 True Force racing wheel and pedal set for the Xbox or PC, and $30 in iRacing credits. And you can visit playflycollege.gg for more info. We've also been holding our eNASCAR College iRacing Series paint contest over the course of the last month. That comes to fruition and to a conclusion this evening. We'll have a showcase for those paints and the reveal of the winner of the paint contest immediately following the conclusion of our race tonight. And the winner will receive $500 in iRacing credit and an exclusive swag bag courtesy of iRacing. This is where we have been, and this is the road to Homestead-Miami Speedway. And been a fun season, been very, very entertaining, Josh.
And so far this season, we have alternated the Xfinity cars and the Craftsman Truck Series vehicles all season long. Restrictor plate tracks, short tracks, a road course in there. Coming off the heels of the 3-wide finish that we saw with the Craftsman Truck Series vehicles at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, James, Homestead-Miami Speedway and the Xfinity cars is very, very opposite to what I think we saw in the kind of pack racing type racing that we saw 2 weeks ago. But there's a championship on the line and a driver's racetrack underneath them.
A championship on the line at a newer track in the world of eNASCAR. This facility opened up only a few decades ago, but lots to learn about, Taylor, in tonight's Play Flat College Esports Track Analysis.
Absolutely. 1.5 mile long. Turns are about 18 to 20 degrees. That progressive banking provides a unique opportunity for drivers to try to find different grooves to race around this circuit. Of course, last time we were here, it was Steven Wilson from the University of Iowa who took home the checker flag, and he's starting off in a good position out there on the front row. We'll touch more about here later on, but it's going to be an interesting way of how drivers can manage from start to finish and where they will place their cars in the place. Some on the bottom, some right up against that wall. It's going to be exciting from start to finish.
Eventually, they'll make their way to the top and to the bottom, but first, they'll start in our starting grid, and this is the lineup for the championship race. Logan Clampett, representing the Titans of Cal State Fullerton, set the fast time with a 34.191 to take the pole over Steven Wilson, the defending champion, representing the Hawkeyes of Iowa, looking to go back-to-back and become the first two-time College Series champion. Daniel Falkingham represents the University of Maine at Machias. He starts in third. To his outside, the other Mainer and the defending Goat Series champion, representing the University of Maine at Augusta, Parker White. Michigan's Matthew Zwack rolls off from the 5th position. On the outside of row 3, it's Oklahoma's Mario Miranda.
Your brand new NCAA Women's Champion UConn with Jose Salas Jr. will be starting in row 4 alongside Eastern Washington James Scioli. Rounding out your top 10 from Saddleback College, John Forbes Jr. And then in 10th position from Wyoming State, Peter Irons. Rounding out in row 6, St. John's River State College, A.J. Hyder, and the University of Calgary, Connor Yarashak.
Adam Garza for Triton College starting to the inside of row 7. Dylan Alt for Sacramento State to the outside. Eastern Shore Community College's Aaron Brown on row 8 with Abraham Vila out of San Jacinto College to the outside of that row. Row number 9 sees Jonathan Evans for Western Connecticut State and Jeremy Burns for Longwood University rounding out the top 18.
Row 10 finds Purdue University in Indianapolis' Jacob Bradley alongside Ball State's Daniel Laney, who rolls off from 20th. 21st on the grid, representing the University of South Carolina at Beaufort, is Connor Trafari. To his outside, representing Chattahoochee Technical College, it's Drew Jua. George Mason, Zach Sprouse, and Converse University's Jake Cummings represent the drivers of row 12, and starting 25th on the grid, our final driver, we're also representing Purdue University in Indianapolis, it's Nick Lucci. 25 drivers in this grid, Joshua and Taylor, the top 25 in points over the first 8 races of the season. So these are the drivers who made the most A-mains and competed in the most races and earned the right to participate in this winner-take-all race. $10,000 in scholarship money going to the winner.
Absolutely. It's going to be exciting to see how this all plays out as they make their way up onto the banking. Drivers are going to be excited, but $10,000 to the winner. It doesn't matter how the race goes on. As long as you're at the top 10 of the podium, Josh, this is going to be the winner who will take it home. But let's talk about the race itself.
The Logitech G race analysis is very simple. 90 laps race distance. They will have to pit once. There's 3 tire sets available in the pit lane. Every car is the same. Fixed setups like we've had all season long with the restart zone in effect on the front straightaway. 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed, James. If they have to pit under green, this is one of the toughest pit road entries to get into in all of NASCAR. They have to pit under the yellow flag. That is a non-issue. But if we go green all the way to the end through 50, 60 laps, when those tires start to wear and drivers want to hit pit lane to make it all the way to the end, watch for pit road entry to be a big talking point if we get to it.
It will be a big point. We'll have more to discuss then, but you'll notice that some of these drivers carry slightly different looks to the standard College Series scheme that you've seen throughout the course of the year. These are drivers that have submitted and are running in tonight's race with the paints that they entered into our College Series paint contest, and the drivers competing in their own personalized and special points denoted by the orange windshield banners on their cars. So if you see it all orange on your screen, those are drivers who are running slightly different paints, and you get a nice contrast. We've seen Connor Yarashak running his own custom scheme painted by Splash & Go Graphics, cosmetic on a shoe, and the standard scheme that you've seen all year for the College Series on the bottom side. There are a few more back there. You can see just looking off the rear deck lid of Peter Irons. One more point before we go green flag racing. Standard fuel window here is 66 laps. I imagine we'll have two strategies. If this goes green all the way through, you can either split this race down the middle and pit around lap 45 or run it dry, which would take you to ballpark lap 66 and try and short pit at the end. We'll see how it goes. There are cautions that can change that, but as of now, coming into this race, those are the pit strategies on offer for the majority of our field. $10,000 that will go to the winner and $30,000 in scholarship money and the title of 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion. All of the line. Green flag is out. We are underway with the title fight from Homestead-Miami, and Logan Clampett and Stephen Wilson immediately lead this field through the gears as they come up to full song for the first time. And Wilson, I think, got loose. I don't know if there was contact there in the middle of the corner, but Wilson immediately jumps to the fence. We'll probably see a lot of drivers try and run that high line, but Wilson, the first to try it as they make their way down to the backstretch for the first time.
It's a tough call right there. He drops back, but he's able to hold on to that second place with immense pressure, though, from Daniel Falkingham in third. They're 2 by 2, a little further back as they jockey. Oh, trouble, though. One driver is around further back as we are under caution here before we take first lap completion.
Drew Jua made contact with someone in the middle of turn 3 and 4, and it brings out the yellow flag before we even get to the second lap of this race. The driver representing Chattahoochee Technical College out of Georgia sideways after some contact with Connor Trafari from the University of South Carolina at Beaufort in the middle of the corner, and Joshua Lee that brings out our first yellow of the evening.
Don't think you're going to see anybody down pit road just yet. Might not have gone green all the way to the end, but we get a yellow flag on lap number 2. And I don't think anybody's going to really want to bring it down pit road just yet to throw a massive wrench in their pit strategy. But this incident, James, taking a quick look at it before we grab those replays, it looked like a single car incident that turned into two. Connor Trafari on the inside line just loses the car, gets up into Jua and spins the number 18, and that sends him around up into the outside wall in turn 4. Didn't look like a major hit to either side of the race car for Drew Jua, so I think he's going to be okay to continue on. He does bring it down into the pit lane along with Jake Cummings to maybe get a little bit of damage repair. Those are the only two to hit pit road this first time by.
Damage repair and maybe top off on fuel since they were already towards the back end of the field. Tonight's broadcast, the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Championship, is brought to you by our great partners who support the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, including our friends at Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And by Playfly College Esports. It's a new name, but the same amazing experience. Visit playflycollege.tg for collegiate esports competitions, merchandise, news, and more. An early yellow flag to slow proceedings in this 2024 eNASCAR College iRacing Series Championship for the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway. James Pike alongside Taylor Burris and Joshua Lee to bring you all the action from virtual South Florida. And a few drivers that came down pit road, Jake Cummings and Drew Jua, like Josh said, in for service. Although I think, not that you're going to gain a huge advantage, Taylor, but you also have the ability to top off fuel, and especially if you're already towards the back of the field, why not go ahead and come in, fill up the tank? Maybe it's a lap or two that you gain on everyone else when it comes to fuel capacity, as we'll take a look at what happened to bring out this first yellow, but it could end up paying dividends, especially if we get a long green flag run from here.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that, but let's take a look at the situation that happened here. It looks like Trafari and Jua just made a little bit of contact. I think it was caused a bit of a checkup. Jua went down a little bit, Trafari went up a little bit. That contact sent Jua around. Great car control, though, to gather it back up. But yeah, for those who are a little further back, like a Jua or a Cummings, coming down pit road, just topping off a little bit of fuel, that could be the difference for them staying out a tick longer and getting better track position, because like we touched on, it's the top 10 who gets the money here tonight. So you still, even though you may not have the shot of maybe winning, just to get 10th is still $1,000 for you in scholarship funds.
And I think if you're that far back already, you might as well zig while the rest of the field zags on strategy and take a different approach just to try and get yourself some track position, sort of manufacture some track position if we get a long green flag run. But that is an if right now as it stands, as the pace car pulls off, and Logan Clampett will have his second opportunity to try and lead this field to the green. And the question that remains is whether or not we'll see Steven Wilson try and go to the high line or not. Look at Adam Garza from Triton College going all the way to the high line, so even more takers right around the fence than we had on the initial restart, Josh Lee.
Couple drivers trying to ride the barge boards on the outside of turns 1 and 2, and a handful do take it, but you can see the pack starting to form through the middle of the field. How about Peter Irons to the inside? Made it into the top 25 after a string of very, very solid finishes this year. Garza goes all the way upstairs. John Forbes Jr. was caught in the middle. They resolve it to go back to 2x2. They head back to 1.
Peter Irons, the freshman representing Winona State out of Rochester, Minnesota, and the major in police sciences, a driver who has already won some pretty major private independent league championships on iRacing, and a driver that I think we can expect to be a force in the college series for the next few years as he works his way through his undergraduate education. Currently running in the 12th machine, pretty easy to spot, purple and white only car with that sort of color combination in the field. Here's the race for 8th place. UConn's Jose Solis Jr. and Triton College's Adam Garza are the two up ahead of this group, and then Abraham Vila just back there representing San Jacinto College, and John Forbes Jr., who won for Saddleback College at Talladega, door-to-door through the middle of turn 2.
Well, the driver right there in John Forbes Jr., of course, is looking for that extra real estate here as he tries to work his way through the field. As he does so, completes the pass on A.J. Hiders, but here comes Peter Irons down on the bottom of the racetrack, try to show the nose. And how about Evans wall riding that outside lane as they come off corner exit there of turn 4, able to gather up in a little contact between him and Sprout. Sprout able to gather it back up and continue on with his fight with him and Daniel Nanny.
Whether or not Sprouse tried to clear himself in front of Evans, or Evans was able to close in a little bit sooner than Sprouse expected, I'm not sure, but one of the two definitely happened, because Sprouse had to check up and off gets the fence, and Irons goes down all the way to the inside retaining wall and saves it. They'll lose the track position, no yellow flag. Biggest question, Josh Lee, how much damage did Alt get? How much damage did Irons get as a result of that contact?
I don't know how in the world they saved that thing. Alt was riding the wall. Irons came up, misjudged it by, I swear, James, maybe a couple of feet. It ends up making contact with Dylan Alt. That sends Peter Irons down to P23, sends Dylan Alt down to P19, and both of those, make that P20 actually, and both of those drivers now fighting from the mid-pack, or from the end of the pack, I should say, to fight their way back to the front. But speaking of the front, Logan Clampett and Steven Wilson are on each other's bumpers now. Here's the replay between Alt and Irons, James. There's the contact where Irons just comes up a little bit too much, maybe expecting Alt to get more of a run off of 2 than he actually got. Makes some contact. Doesn't look like anything too wrong with either of those cars, and might I say, a really nicely painted Dylan Alt machine as well, part of the paint contest.
Indeed, part of the paint contest is we take our first opportunity of the evening to appreciate these two long-standing rivals in the college series who have their final battle between them this evening, because Steven Wilson is graduating in May, will walk away from his studies with a degree in finance from the University of Iowa, and has plans to move down to the Charlotte area, already racing for Spire Motorsport in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and is going to try and take the jump from all of the success he's had in the sim, where he's a former champion of the college series and the coach series, and find his place in the real-life world of NASCAR. So eagerly await what career Steven Wilson takes to as the years progress. But for now, his final run tonight in the college series, that means his final battle with Logan Clampett in this arena.
Well, I will say this, even though we'll miss Steven Wilson from the college series in the next season, it's going to be interesting to see who else could step up to the plate and challenge some of these drivers like Clampett, like Falkingham and Parker White, as hopefully we'll see a new crop of drivers make their way into this championship and we kick back off later in the fall.
Wilson now clear of Clampett. He's taken the race lead and is starting to put some distance on the California native. And we'll take a look at some of the drivers who submitted entries to the paint contest and also managed to qualify for this championship race, starting with Aaron Brown, representing Eastern Shore Community College out in Alsonia, Virginia. Lots of teal, lots of green. I see a soccer ball on top there. So this is a scheme that tells a story. Aaron Brown trying to write his name into the history books tonight.
And I think it also speaks to his college as well, Eastern Shore Community College. You can see all the logos on the side, some great text moving up the side. How about Jake Cummings as well for Converse University? Another one submitting a paint. I love the all black kind of mysterious look on that one, James. This is another good one.
Another good one and convenient. We just talked about seniors in this field. This is also the final college series start for Jake Cummings. The Pomptown, North Carolina native will graduate next month with a master's degree in management in professional leadership. So congratulations to Jake Cummings on a successful college series career. Here's Nick Lucci, native of Topeka, Kansas, student at Purdue University in Indianapolis. And no surprise that he's trying to go boiler up this evening with some gold and some black.
Really good paint right there. I love how that gold and black come out and pop on that clear of the Supra as they work their way through, as he battles with Brown for position. And gotta say, that is one nice paint scheme.
One more that will show you at this point, Zach Sprouse, George Mason University, the Patriots, the Stafford, Virginia native, and that green and yellow, pretty iconic combination. This school, of course, the one that made it to the 2006 men's Final Four with that miraculous run as an 11 seed. And I think we should have had green and yellow emblazoned in the back of our minds since then, Josh Lee. And neat to see them transfer so well onto an Xfinity Series machine.
The sophomore in mechanical engineering having a great look on that car as he continues to fight through the field. And another fight that we've got is for P10. John Forbes Jr. on the outside, Abraham Vila on the inside, AJ Hyder in this group, and there is Zach Sprouse, who we were just talking about as well, from George Mason at the tail end of this battle. Vila on the inside line, now looking for momentum off the corner. That's so difficult to do off the low side, James. That outside, you get such a run, you're in the throttle so much more. The inside might be better on entry. You kind of dive your way into the corner. You can make a slide job work. You're able to slide up all the way towards the outside wall. If not, you're going to need to have a little bit more work on that inside line if you want to make some passes. And Zach Sprouse is trying to make some passes. He's got some good speed over Abraham Vila, who continues to fall.
It's so easy to pinch somebody down if you're running that high line like Vila is. You really can't control how you get out of the corner here. And this is one of the most gradual corner exits you're going to find. As you see, Longwood University's Jeremy Burns leading this battle for 18th, just ahead of Connor Tafari and Dylan Alt and Aaron Brown. But if you're running that high line, especially with the way the corner exit opens up here, it's very gradual, it's very slow, and it gives that driver on the outside almost complete control of how you can exit the corner if you're running door-to-door. Big advantage if you're on the outside, I think.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye on this here as Burns is holding strong. There you see one of the other paint schemes we talked about right there, along with University. Love a little bit of the design that he's got going on there as we watch him work his way through. Of course, Jeremy Burns working his way up through the field. And as we see here, working with Longwood University of Clark County, Virginia, still trying to fight his way up. But that paint definitely is going to be a fan favorite for those tuning in tonight.
Yet another Virginia native and one of the drivers representing the Commonwealth in tonight's coverage of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. We go on board with Ball State's Daniel Nanny. In school in Indiana, a native of Clinton Townsend, Michigan. So this made the trek just south for his studies and fighting Zach Sprouse for the 13th position.
And the Ball State University driver running the inside line as well, looking to try and get by Zach Sprouse, who is just a couple of feet ahead of him. Right now, James, everybody favoring that inside line. We're kind of seeing the entire field run about down there throughout the entire field currently. Not a ton of drivers electing to go all the way up by the outside wall. But as we join in the battle for 6th, two paint contest drivers as well. Mario Miranda at the front of this group out of the University of Oklahoma, and James Scioli from Eastern Washington in this fight. James, I love these paint contest cars because they really showcase each college almost perfectly. They're able to represent their colleges with very college-specific paint schemes as we look on board of Mario Miranda off the back of his car looking at Scioli.
Two drivers who I think within this series have become synonymous with their schools and also have raised awareness for sim racing at their universities. Scioli, part of a program that is trying to burgeon at Eastern Washington, and Miranda, who also races Legends cars in real life, really bringing attention to not just sim racing, but racing in general at the University of Oklahoma. A native of Tulsa on the Norman campus studying. He is a junior this year, a sports business manager, so one more year of competition next year, at least in theory, for Miranda. And Scioli, a graduate student looking to get a degree in business management and a native of Spokane, Washington.
Good fight right here between the two of them as Miranda's just trying to focus in, hold his position. There you see behind him some of his race suits as we see the paint scheme of James Scioli. Really good. I love the camo design a little bit, and then of course how they have multiple logos of the Eagles there as he tries to hold on and fight his way. Gets a good run down the back straightaway, and then of course a little bit of an addition to adding an extra name to the back end of the bumper of their car. Really nice touch, I have to say.
Here's Nick Lucci trying to find space around Connor Trafari, and Peter Irons trying to regain some of that track position that was lost in the contact with Dylan Alt. Neither of them have been particularly successful in recovering that track position. Alt currently scored 19th, and Irons now at the stripe just ahead of Lucci, but running in the 22nd position as we go on board with the Boilermaker out of Topeka, Kansas. Nick Lucci currently studying at Purdue University in Indianapolis.
Lucci's starting to work his way up by the outside wall. So is a lot of other drivers, but here is the reason I love to ride the wall here at Homestead. You see the run that he just got off of turn 2, went right up to the back bumper of Connor Trafari, and look at that. Trafari now goes up to the outside line to try and protect his spot. Lucci has to go to the middle to try and get a run off the corner, but Trafari powers himself off the corner to get to the back bumper of Peter Irons. That is why the outside line, James, is so strong here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. You're able to get the runs off the corner, make the moves, get down the straightaways, and set yourself up for some moves heading into turn 3.
I love that shot of Trafari because we got an opportunity to see one of the major things that these drivers are going to have to manage over green flag running action. You saw Trafari get a little bit loose on corner exit, gas it up a little bit too early. This is a place where you cannot stab the throttle on corner exit. You have to gradually roll into it because the transition off the banking onto the straightaways is so long. And if you try and get to the gas too early, Taylor, it's very easy for you to burn off your rear tires, your right rear especially, and then you really are struggling just to hang on for any sort of grip whatsoever. So Trafari may be beginning to lose the handle on his rear tires. Maybe a driver that might look at stopping at the halfway point as opposed to stretching to a fuel green flag run.
Absolutely, as we ride on board with Triton College very own Adam Garza from Chicago, Illinois. He's a freshman currently working on mass communication multimedia. And of course, as he works his way around the circuit, he's been staying comfortably inside the top 10 and always one of the main contenders for top 10 finishes throughout the entire season, hence why he is here in this championship finale and really putting on a great show tonight as he tries to now stick to the middle to bottom group. He's just running just right above that first sealant line right there off the middle of turn 3 and 4. He's able to get a good power move as we go back a little further to Bradley, Alt, Manny, and company battling here for position as Alt's got a run on the inside lane. He's going to try to clear him heading into 1.
Alt with that run on the bottom, Bradley running the high line. You'll notice here a sister scheme to what Nick Lucci is running. Bradley primarily gold car, primarily black for Lucci, and a great job by Alt to cover the run that Bradley got, running that high lane just like Josh talked about a little bit earlier to maintain the track position. Alt peeking to the inside of Manny. Manny should get a good run off the top, but Alt got a great drive off the bottom there. Clears Manny by about a car length or 2. Dylan Alt has now worked his way back up into the top 15 for Sacramento State.
Nanny slid out a little bit as well on the tail end of turn 4, just like you mentioned, James. You cannot stab the throttle on exit. That rear end will step out very, very easily. You got to be gradual getting back on the throttle, and you can see the run that Jacob Bradley has out. Here comes the junior mechanical of motorsports engineering to the inside. Ball State and versus Purdue, we've seen it before. Now we're seeing it in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Two Indiana schools that have a pretty decent history of competing against one another, going toe-to-toe yet again, this time on the virtual racetrack as the Boilermaker and the Cardinal continue to squabble for who really wants that 16th position. We'll watch this battle and go just behind it, right on board with Chattahoochee Technical College's Drew Jua as the Georgian watches these two Indiana natives, these two Hoosiers, battle it out.
We're riding right now with the Chattahoochee Tech driver Drew Jua as he's trying to be the catbird in this operation, as he tries to see which lane could he follow suit as Daniel Nanny tries to put the bumper, a little physical contact here as he tries to get around Jacob Bradley. That Ball State driver's really putting on a show, but Jua's not going to have any of it. He's going to go to the bottom of the racetrack trying to pick up a 2-for-1 special. Aaron Brown also watching on as Jua clears Nanny off of turn 2, and Brown also going to try to do the same thing. 3 wide as they head down into turn 3 and 4. You're on board with Nanny as they head into 3.
How about Aaron Brown to force the issue after Bradley forced the issue on Nanny and made sure to slot it up in front of him. Now Jua is going to do the exact same thing. So is Nanny going to try to go to the inside and carry the momentum to continue the battle? Or is he going to let Jua just go? Answer to that, Nanny to the bottom. Jua tries to pinch, going to force Nanny to lift here off corner exit because Nanny won't be able to fan out back towards the wall. And that is how Drew Jua will capture the 18th position for good, and now set his sights on trying to run down Aaron Brown. He did a nice job of working that 3-wide battle and picked up a few spots in the process, Josh.
All 3 of those drivers sophomores, 2 of them from computer science, 1 of them in applied cybersecurity. That's what the eNASCAR College iRacing Series is all about, as we go back to the racetrack and get the drone out down the front straightaway, and we can see everybody dive into the corner. 2 drivers choose the outside. Peter Iron's starting to choose a little bit of the middle line. He blends up the racetrack just a little bit more as Burns all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack as it will transition up the racetrack. Battle for 3rd. Parker White to the inside of Daniel Folkingham. This is eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers at the front, starting to flex a little bit of muscle as Parker White gets by Folkingham.
These are arguably the 2 most prominent drivers from the state of Maine, and maybe in all of iRacing, not just the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, and it is Maynor versus Maynor for the final spot on the podium as it stands. White just took it from Folkingham. Folkingham trying to keep touch, but Matthews whack beginning to reel both of them in as we're starting to see Peter Irons and Dylan Alt begin to regain some of the track position that they lost in that early incident that almost brought out a yellow, but did not. Here's Danny trying to respond to the inside, but Alt has made his way up to 14th. Irons now up to 20th, trying to lock it down as they come out of turn 4 with that high side momentum on Daniel Nanny.
He's got a good run as they come off of turn number 4 and will clear Nanny. Trouble right now for Daniel Nanny is I feel like he's burns off a little bit of those right side tires now, and that is going to be a detriment to him as we progress further and further into this race. So he's need to make the decision as we go up ahead. This is a battle for the final positions in the money spots, and Forbes and Garza and throw in AJ Hyder all jockeying around for this final spot here as Garza tries to go around the outside. Hyder goes to the middle, and there you see John Forbes running that inside line. Remember, only the top 10 get a shot of the big money here tonight, as so far it is going to be a battle between these 3 at the moment, and Hyder is really putting on a fight here and drawing in a couple of more drivers. There's Abraham Bila coming into the mix.
Yeah, this is really becoming a battle right towards the end of the scholarship payouts. Again, it's just the top 10 that end up with scholarship money. Right now, Garza has it by maybe a nose. Now, Hyder's going to have it. Hyder's going to send it deep into the corner and make contact with Garza. Garza slides up the racetrack, so Hyder forces the issue a little bit, and now the question is whether or not he can run off the front of Garza and get away, as Matthews Whack has managed to get around Daniel Folkingham, whose car continues to fade as this run progresses. Worth noting, 37 laps up on the board, so in theory, for those who are splitting this race in half, we should see them down pit road, Josh Rowley, within the next 10 laps or so.
I think most of the field say we're going to cut it into thirds. Has already kind of missed their pit window. We had nobody come in apart from Jua and Cummings, who were involved in early incidents in this race. Nobody else has touched pit road, and unfortunately for Connor Juracek, didn't even get an opportunity to start the race. Lost power on a very sunny day, and that puts him P25 and 38 laps down now as the race continues on.
A tough end to his season. The good news, though, for Juracek is that this was only the end of his freshman campaign, so we'll have 3 more years of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver in eNASCAR College iRacing Series competition, and we will likely hear his name a lot, Taylor Burris.
It certainly is, but one thing you now notice on the timing screen, you see that green line? That is to showcase to everyone who's in the chance to get the money here tonight, from $10,000 to the winner to $1,000 in scholarship funds for 10th place. So even though there may be a little bit of chaos going on up towards the front of the field, we're going to also watch that battle for 10th position, because right now that's just as exciting to keep an eye on, other than besides crowning a champion for the race lead as we watch, and it is chaotic throughout the top 10 as we speak.
I would say convenient that that battle for the 10th spot is arguably the very best battle that we've got going on the racetrack. Henderson is on board with Jose Solis Jr., the driver out of East Hartford, Connecticut, who's going to get a monster run here on the high line and duck to the inside of James Scioli to try and maybe, just maybe, wrest away 7 as Mario Miranda continues to pace them both, and he's battling with Daniel Falkingham, who continues to slide here. Falkingham struggling to maintain pace on these old tires.
I love watching racing here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. You want to know why, James? Because it reminds me of the racing that we normally get on dirt ovals in sprint cars, in late models. They dive to the inside, they let the car breathe up to the wall, up to the cushion, try to get the slingshot around the corner. Is that how Logan Clampett is going to get the race lead? We're side by side. Solis just moved down into pit lane. Clampett just tried to move to the inside of Steven Wilson, who cuts him off.
So they slide off. Solis is the first taker down pit road. Meanwhile, Miranda, Scioli, and company continuing to fight as we stay on this battle for the lead, where Clampett is trying to force the issue, I would think, right before scheduled pit stops. If you're going to split this race, you're coming in the next few laps, and I think that might be the thought here for Clampett, is to try and have that track position just as they come down pit road, Taylor.
He's going to try his best, and he is being very aggressive here as he tries to find his opening down on the inside, but Steven Wilson is not having any of it, really putting a lot of moves, trying to block the arrow off of the nose of that number 44 Chevrolet, that Titan Esports machine, as he tries to battle on down the back straightaway. Can't quite do it, tucks back into line. He'll have to try something here to see if he can try to make it work before their pit stop happens. But with those two battling, that's slowly bringing in a couple of more drivers. Parker White just off screen, now on screen here. We're about to have ourselves a 3-horse battle for the lead.
Parker White looking to follow in the footsteps of Steven Wilson and become a driver to claim both the championships. This is contact there. Wilson gets the fence and manages to somehow save it, as I think Clampett is okay. Wilson certainly the worst of that, but Logan Clampett taking absolutely no prisoners and forcing the issue here right around the halfway mark. It is clear of Steven Wilson by about 0.8 of a second off of that contact.
It happened quick, but the door just closed. Clampett got a little bit of the apron, came up and into Steven Wilson. Here's the replay in the battle for the lead and what could be the battle for the championship later on. Clampett got tight, goes up into Wilson. Wilson hits the wall, barely keeps it off of Parker White. But now the story of the championship has changed, and we know, James, race car drivers have amazing memories. Is Steven Wilson gonna remember that if we end up in a side-by-side battle for the championship come lap 90?
I have to believe that's going to be part of the equation. Also, if you want to see the difference on fresh tires, look at the way that Jose Solis Jr. just drove around them as Matthew Swack, Mario Miranda, AJ Hyder, Adam Garza are quartet of drivers who have come in right at the halfway mark on lap 45. Jake Cummings beginning to unlap himself on fresh tires right by the leaders. He may slide into the picture here or there. Right there, that black machine just to the right-hand side of your screen. That's Cummings, who is a lap down, but has already made his pit stop, is on fresh tires. Does Logan Clampett come down pit road now, or does Clampett stay out onto the racing surface for a few more laps? He'll stay out as Cummings will unlap himself. Cummings currently scored in the 21st position. Meanwhile, John Forbes Jr. and Daniel Falkingham down for service.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see who else will come down pit road. None of your top three have decided to do so at the moment, as we have a couple of more Peter Irons coming down pit road, as the Winona State driver tries to see if he can able to pick up some. But now, let's see what happens. Here comes Parker White with a big head of steam. Down to the bottom. Does Clampett go down? I think he is. With how much room we see, he does. White continues on. Wilson, does he join? He stays out on the track as Clampett, big time lockup to make sure he makes pit road speed.
Race leader on pit road, Logan Clampett, comes in on lap 46. That leaves White and Wilson as the first two out on the racetrack as it stands. But now it's on them to respond. James Cioli, representing Eastern Washington, on pit road as well, will come in from a pretty high spot up the top of the leaderboard in the standings. Now all eyes here on Parker White and Steven Wilson. What kind of gap do they decide to give or not give? But look at the way that White is slowing down. White is going to come down pit road. Wilson going to come down pit road as well. So that's first and second on the racetrack in for service on lap 47 with 44 laps to go.
Remember when I mentioned earlier, James, that getting onto pit road under green was one of the toughest things to do at the Homestead-Miami Speedway? We are seeing that. Nobody has gone into the barrels. We've had a couple of drivers get very, very close, and a couple of drivers also get very close to getting a speeding ticket down pit road. But I did gaslight a little bit earlier. Jake Cummings is seemingly on a two-stop strategy, pitted at lap 30 instead of lap 45 to 47 like we're seeing throughout the rest of the field. So we do have one driver that is at least going to try to split the race in thirds. Jose Solis Jr. pitted a little bit early for the halfway strategy, but was close enough. He is definitely going to try and make it all the way to the end as Dylan Alt makes his way down into the pit lane. Three drivers left at the front. Vila, Brown, and Bradley all yet to hit pit road. Add Nick Lucci to that list as well. Looks like everybody else has come in for pit service under this green flag cycle.
Keeping an eye on Pasadena, Texas's Abraham Vila, representing San Jacinto College. Outside of the greater Houston area, does Vila come down pit road this time? Tries to slow it up. Oh, big moment there for Peter Irons, who had to be very heads up there to make sure that Vila missed the pit entrance. Vila missed the pit entrance, trying to come down and get some service, and just about ran up into Jacob Bradley. So disaster here for Abraham Vila, who did not get the car slowed down in time. Josh, you've talked about it a million times already on this broadcast, how difficult it is to come down pit road. There it is right in front of you. Abraham Vila with the biggest mistake on pit road so far.
Dan Vila wasn't even really that close to making it either, James. Here's the replay. Just too much speed through turns 3 and 4, and didn't get down early enough as well. Hit the apron, started to lose the car, had to save it, and saved it from getting out of the barrels, but then had to go all the way back around. He does not make the same mistake twice, Taylor. He hits pit road.
He certainly does, but now leaves Aaron Brown, Jacob Bradley, Drew Jua as the last few drivers who have yet to come down pit road, excluding, nope, Lucci is also on pit road. So three drivers left to go out, and Jose Solis Jr. looking to be the new driver to take over the race lead. So this could change a lot of situations here. He has about 4 lap older tires than Zwack, Marenza, and company.
Aaron Brown, your leader. This is a look at Peter Irons, and this is what he saw in front of his screen as Vila was trying to come down pit road. It had to be a very, very quick decision and flick to the right for Irons just to avoid Abraham Vila. And then Vila didn't even make it down pit road in that stretch. Had to circle around for another lap and has paid the price. Vila now a lap down, scored in 23rd position. So we're at the point where we've started to see strategies diverge a little bit. Jose Solis Jr. is the leader amongst the drivers who came in ballpark around halfway. Drew Jua is currently on 49 lap old tires. Remember, he got caught up in things early. Jacob Bradley now coming down pit road for service. Jua coming down for service. So Brown all on his own in an island all by himself so far as the strategy goes. And I wonder, is Brown maybe the one driver that may try and stretch this all the way to 66 laps?
For what it's worth, James, net race leader kind of right now is Jose Salas Jr. ran a 34.9 last time by. Aaron Brown ran a 36.5.
That we will keep an eye on as well as Brown continues to stay out. So let's sort of recap this here for Aaron Brown in particular. Brown staying out, has not come down pit road yet. You would imagine if he's going to try and run this fuel tank drive, probably about another 10 to 15 laps to go before he comes in for service. If we get a yellow sometime within that window, this is a huge gamble that pays off handsomely for Aaron Brown because he gets to pit with the track position. If we do not get a yellow, Aaron Brown will be hurting his case lap on lap on lap, Taylor. And this is the roll of the dice for a driver who hadn't necessarily been running that high up in the standings, but this is his shot. And of course, as soon as I say all of this and lay out the entire scenario, it comes down pit road and becomes the last driver to make a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, he's working his way through, and that will give the race lead over to Jose Salas Jr. And, of course, we just saw Aaron Brown with his paint. He is one of the contenders for that paint contest. And probably you're wondering what's with all the soccer balls. Well, apparently over there at Eastern Shore Community College, they have a co-ed soccer league that they host over there, that they host multiple times throughout the year. So pretty good deal, and, of course, great way to showcase some of the special events that they hold over at Eastern Shores Community College.
So now, here are the numbers you need to pay attention to. Logan Clampett was one of the last drivers to come down for service. Clampett here slightly faster than Zwack and Miranda. Last time by, we're in a 34.5 to Solis' 35.2. Here's the battle for ninth between Forbes, Cioli, and Garza. The gap between your leaders, Solis and Clampett, down at 3.8 seconds and closing. So that we will keep an eye on because that could be a battle for the race lead if this continues to go green. As it stands, though, Josh Lee, this is your battle on the racetrack that you want to watch.
And if you want to get a part of this battle, be in the next season of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series and start your iRacing career, log on to iRacing.com today, get the Xfinity cars, get Homestead-Miami Speedway, and go racing in battles like this. Memberships right now, 40% off as well. No better time to join the iRacing service than right now. So get on iRacing.com and be a part of some of these battles in the future. Cioli able to get by for that 9th spot. We jump up to 3rd. Logan Clampett in front of Mario Miranda. He gets by him for 3rd. Two paint contest drivers 3rd and 4th. And Clampett trying to claw his way back to the race lead with Zwack and Solis ahead.
Quick clarification, 40% off for new members to iRacing as Logan Clampett begins his charge back to the front on the French tires. Next up, Matthew Zwack. Zwack maybe about 0.7 of a second ahead of Logan Clampett, and Zwack about 2.3 seconds behind Jose Solis Jr. Clampett has chiseled away about a second and change off of Solis' lead just within the last handful of laps or so as we work our way towards 30 laps to go. But Clampett is the driver marching to the front. The Mainers yet again battling for position, Falkingham and White.
Yeah, Falkingham holding on for position at the moment. White, though, putting the pressure. He'll look down to the inside and just smoothly make his way up ahead of Falkingham for the moment. Beautiful pass as they enter out of turn number 2 and head down the back straightaway. Steven Wilson is about half a second back from this battle. So a tough break for him from battling up in the front of the field to now in 7th place as they catch up to the Sooner of Mario Miranda up ahead of them for the 4th position.
And does Steven Wilson have any damage? It does not look like it is significant if there is any, but if there is some at a track that is as aero-sensitive as Homestead-Miami, Joshua Lee, it can make all the difference in the world, especially at the pointy end of the field.
I haven't seen any cars with at least major damage. There have been a handful that had longer pit stops, but everybody in that last green flag cycle did not have any longer stops than normal. Taking a close look at Wilson here. Don't see any on the inside part of that car Not sure if he got into the wall so hard that he ended up with some damage on the outside, but nonetheless, the battles continue at the front of the field. Parker White to the inside of Mario Miranda. Easy work made there. Miranda losing ground as one of the drivers that pitted 16 laps ago. The other driver that pitted 16 laps ago, Matthew Zwack, he's got a mirror full of Logan Clampett right now, but they're all 1.6 seconds back from the driver on 20-lap old tires, Jose Salas Jr., which the yellow flag comes out soon. James is in a perfect position to leapfrog a lot of spots.
Yes, Solis and Zwack would be the beneficiaries, or at least the biggest beneficiaries of the yellow if it came out right now. They will have leapfrogged Logan Clampett on strategy. As you see the battle here for P2. This is Clampett looking to the inside of Zwack. For fourth position, it's White and Miranda. For the eighth spot, it's Scioli and Hyder. They can also potentially throw John Forbes Jr. into the mix as well. We'll keep an eye on all of them as we work our way towards the final 25 laps of the 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series season.
I've been keeping an eye on some of the lap times going on right now for our drivers inside the top 10, and who's been the most consistently faster driver? Well, that so far has been the driver of Steven Wilson, except this last time by, give it to Parker White. So I don't think that damage is affecting him too much to where he has had any damage, but we go back to this battle for second as Clampett is now trying to get on the attack to catch up and pass that Matthew Zwack to have the fight chance to take on Jose Salas Jr. There you see him look to the inside, that Titan Esports machine from California State University Fullerton, really trying to be aggressive and get back on the attack to go and retake the race lead.
It's a 2-lap advantage that Clampett has on tires over Zwack, and so this becomes a game of how much can Zwack hold up or how much can he not hold up Logan Clampett. If you are Jose Salas Jr., you are absolutely loving this, and you are hoping that Clampett is just held up behind Zwack as Steven Wilson now looks to the inside of Mario Miranda to try and get a spot back in the top 5.
The eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion is trying to chase the race leaders back down. He gets loose under Miranda, makes some slight contact. They both hold on to it. Back to turn 1, Wilson dives it in, and that is a perfect pass on Miranda. Can he hold it? Miranda crossover to the bottom. James, remember when I said that this racing looked a lot like dirt oval? We just saw it. That is the oval version of a slide job.
That was picture perfect from Steven Wilson as Parker White has now joined the party for second. Logan Clampett stuck in the high line and I think more importantly boxed in. Clampett may have the fastest machine of these three but absolutely nowhere to go as he's going to bounce off of Parker White. They make contact in the corner and now Clampett's going to try and run that high line to try and find any sort of real estate here because Steven Wilson is closing, and to the point that Josh Lee made earlier, I have this weird hunch, Taylor, that if Steven Wilson can get back to Logan Clampett that he might just repay the favor after that contact earlier.
Well, he's got a little bit more work to do because there goes Logan Clampett, slides it down to the bottom, now tries to get in front of Matthew Zwack to take position. White hits the wall a little bit, and here comes Steven Wilson. Cue the Jaws music as he is barreling down on these three competitors with 24 laps to go.
So now Clampett and Parker White have cleared Matthew Zwack. Jose Salas Jr. will have to play some pretty incredible defense, and I think the hardest thing for Salas, it'd be one thing if it were one car, but it's two cars that are both just a little bit faster. It was a 5 and a 6 to Salas' 8, so they gained 2 tenths just that last lap. You could visibly see the gap coming down between Clampett and White and Salas, who is now maybe a mere car length or two ahead of Clampett for the race lead.
Back to turn 1, Salas with a not so comfortable lead as Clampett sits in second. It's White, Zwack, then Steven Wilson, who are on board with now. Runs in the same line as most of the competitors in front. That looks to be Parker White that went up to try the outside line. 22 to go when we come across the stripe. I'm noticing James is Clampett on the outside now of White. White goes to the inside to try and make the pass for second place. They make contact. This battle might go all the way to the end, and we're going to see Steven Wilson get back into this lead fight very soon. He's in this camera shot.
Best case for Wilson is that White and Clampett continue to fight each other before they get to Solis. If they go door to door, they'll hold each other up a little bit as Parker White got loose, tried to complete the pass, couldn't do anything with it. Solis is going to park his car right in front of Logan Clampett, but Clampett may have the opportunity to go to the outside. Solis gets loose on the bottom. That's going to check up White. Logan Clampett now with the run on the high line to take the lead with 21 laps to go.
And it's not over yet, because here comes the rest of the field as they come across the line. Jose Salas Jr. is going to have to concede the race lead and possibly second. Logan Clampett leads the charge with clear air up ahead, but here comes Steven Wilson. High, wide, and handsome up around the outside. Tries to get the run he needs. Matthews Wack takes the position away, but Wilson with a big head of steam looks down to the inside to try to complete the pass. He's looking for a 2-for-1 special. He has no time to play around.
Steven Wilson has made this charge, made contact with Logan Clampett, fell back by about maybe, call it 2/3 of a second in real time under green flag conditions, and has been working ever since to claw his way back into the fight for the lead and get all the way back up to the front as Wilson tries to go back-to-back and win consecutive college series titles. He is almost there, maybe about a car length or two back of Parker White with 20 laps to go.
Not to add more drama to an already dramatic scenario that we have shaping up here in virtual Miami, but James did just mention it. This is for the championship. Whoever wins this race is your eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion, and second place gets second, third place gets third, and the difference in prize money between first and second place, $5,500, James. Everybody in this top 10 wants to be racing Logan Clampett. Parker White is doing it right now, but Steven Wilson is 4/10 back looking to join the party.
So I think at this point, Taylor Burris, this is going to come down to what lines these drivers run and where they decide to put their cars on the racetrack. Last time by, you saw Logan Clampett run that really big sweeping line, almost a sort of pavement slider, as Josh just alluded to defend against him. He sort of runs on that high line. What does Clampett do here? Same thing again. Deep drive into the corner, runs it right up against the fence. And interestingly enough, Steven Wilson now running basically that exact same line as Parker White stays committed to the bottom.
Hey, got to be careful with that, though, because that much sliding can cause some significant wear and tear on those tires, especially on the right side. So you've got to be careful how much sliding you're doing there, because right now, if Parker White is going to be smooth and consistent on the bottom compared to the sliding of White and Wilson, White might be the one who takes home the big money here today, as now here comes Wilson. He's now going to see if he can find his opening down on the bottom of the racetrack as White goes to the top side to follow in the tire tracks of Logan Clampett off turn 2.
So White with that defensive line on the high line, and Wilson immediately knew that he was not going to have the same lane that he had the lap before, decided to keep it pinned on the bottom. So what does White do here this time around at 3 and 4, 17 to go? He and Clampett both will stay right there along the white line and then drift gradually back up to the top of the track, and these three are just about identical on the stopwatch. As they come to the stripe, 83 to a 79 to a 90, White the fastest of the trio.
And everybody trying to run different lines. You need to make passes at the Homestead-Miami Speedway by running where others won't. We saw the last time by, Wilson ran the bottom, Clampett and White ran up top. Look at both of these eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitors. Clampett in defense, Wilson in full offense. White goes up to the boards. Steven Wilson still sits third, trying to plan a move for second place. But I think, James, he sees a lot of Logan Clampett in front of him as White gets a big run. Nowhere to go, back to 1.
White checked it up early, and then is going to get an opportunity to drive through the center of the corner and force the issue on Clampett. And this might be the best thing Steven Wilson can see, because if Clampett and White start fighting, it'll make it very easy for Wilson to gain that car length or two that is separating him from this battle for the race lead. All three drivers down to the inside lane in the corner as Logan Clampett continues to lead this, but for how much longer, as White and Wilson have 1 lap fresher tires. It's not a lot as we hit 14 laps to go, but it could be all the difference in the world, Taylor Burris.
right on board with Steven Wilson. You can watch the way these cars handle. You saw last time by, White got a little bit loose off turn number 3 and 4, but look at the run you see here from Steven Wilson. Even on the bottom, he picked up about over a car length to catch up to the back bumper of Parker White, who shows an O down to the bottom of the inside. He will try to push the driver of Logan Clampett up the racetrack to get the run he needs off turn 4. Wilson watches on, almost going to make contact. You can't stick a piece of paper between the two competitors battling for the race lead.
Here we go. Battle for the lead, battle for the title. Parker White to the inside of Logan Clampett, who immediately is going to run that defensive line up the track. White tries to join him. They both sliding, driving hard off the right rear. Wilson to the inside, won't have the momentum on corner exit, and White didn't really get a great run off of 2 either, so that may actually make this a battle for second, and White is going to back it up pretty quickly here, and all of a sudden, Steven Wilson is now up in that runner-up position.
And all of a sudden, the two drivers that made contact multiple laps ago are back to each other's bumpers. How badly does Steven Wilson want $10,000 in scholarship money? But we get a wrench thrown in everything. Abraham Vila spins to the bottom of turn 3, and James Pike, we are going to rack them up in a restart. Wilson is disappointed in it.
Man, this is so tough to read. You can see the emotion on Steven Wilson's face. He doesn't like it, but there's an opportunity to come down and get fresh tires. You would imagine just about everybody is going to come down pit road, I would think, Taylor Burris, given that everybody's run at least 30 laps on these tires, but you never know.
You never know, indeed. And you know what? Before that caution came out, you saw Parker White give the position over to Steven Wilson. I wonder if White was wondering if these two were going to get at it and really have a battle, and then White was just going to sneak his way through and take the win. That would have been something, but now that all changes due to the caution.
Here we go. Money stop for all of these drivers. In all likelihood, the last opportunity they are going to have on pit road as we take a look at the replay and see how this panned out between Vila and Aaron Brown.
They hit the bumps, and Brown just came up just a little bit too much. Hits Abraham Vila, spun him to the grass in turn 3. Caution was called. And that's about all she wrote for that green flag run that we had. But the race off pit road, James, you mentioned it. It's money stop. Left sides go up, they go down. Everybody exits. It's Clampett ahead of Wilson barely.
And that is what winning the pole can do for you. Clampett with that first stall on pit road takes advantage of it at maybe the most important time. And when he needed that track position, he has it. And Logan Clampett now in control of this. And if anything, I kind of think this is a good reset for Clampett because now he'll be on even tires with everybody. But then again, pretty much everybody's going to be on even tires. Everybody came down pit road that last time by. Everybody took 4 tires, and that might, Taylor Burris, be the reason why Wilson was so disappointed. The advantage he had on tires compared to Clampett, that's gone now.
Absolutely, that is out the window, and now it's going to be just who is able to hold on for the next basically 9 to 10 laps when we go back green flag racing here. So everyone already try to put some heat in the tires. You see Steven Wilson over there bobbing and weaving a little bit, getting ready to go racing as the lights are out. It is time to go and turn them loose for a 9-lap dash to the finish. Hopefully, as long as we stay green.
Chaos is, I think, the easiest way to describe what we are going to see. Yes, we've seen a lot of late race restarts in this 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series season, but none of them have had the kind of stakes that this restart will have, because this restart is potentially for $10,000 in scholarship money, $30,000 in scholarships on the line to the top 10, the single biggest pool of the year, and a pool that is just under 10 times bigger than any other race we've had in this series to this point. So with all that money and all that scholarship cash on the line, what are these drivers willing to do to take home that cash and the title of eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion? Logan Clampett will lead this field to green with 9 laps to go as the pace car will pull off and the green flag will unfurl, and Clampett will have to get a great restart to try and hold him at bay, and he did not necessarily get the greatest of restarts, but Wilson, I think, spun the tires a little bit coming through the gears down the front straightaway. He'll slot into second, but Clampett will go, and they are already 3 wide behind.
Wilson tried to slot in so quickly, but Clampett and Wilson are still the top 2, tailing in the back straightaway.
They certainly are, and they are really battling out. A couple of other drivers just bobbing and weaving through traffic, but the battle to watch is these two right here. Throw in Parker White and Matthew Zwack also in the chance to try to steal a victory away and the championship as they come off of turn 4.
Zwack and Solis Jr. were 2 drivers who had old tires, who were fading. Now they get the opportunity to potentially throw their name in the hat as Logan Clampett continues to drive away, really starting to set some fast times here. He'll run that defensive line up on the high line, and then Wilson will follow and track him on corner exit.
Down the back straightaway, you can see everybody further back jockeying for position as much as they can. John Forbes Jr.'s on that bubble line. Make it James Scioli for the prize money in the top 10. Dylan Alt falls from that spot, but at the front of the field, Clampett holds the lead. There's the gaggle of cars fighting for the top 10. Forbes right in the middle of it. Alt upstairs takes 10th place away.
3/100ths of a second between Clampett and Wilson on the stopwatch last time by almost dead even. So for Wilson, it's going to take a creative line or 2 or maybe 3 in order just to get near Logan Clampett as they continue to thunder down the back straightaway. But the yellow flag is out once again. Abraham Vila in the wall on the backstretch.
Tough break right there because we were about to see a good run coming from Steven Wilson. I saw building as they entered into the corner. So it's time to re-rack them and restack them. But it was about 10 cars battling for that final position in 10th place for the money right there we saw a few months ago. Who would hate to be in that hornet's nest here in these closing laps?
That battle for 10th is going to be just an outright brawl for that scholarship money. Contact here between Nick Lucci and Abraham Vila. Gets Vila loose. Really nice work from Joey Burns to stay off of Vila as Vila spun down to the inside retaining wall and clipped it right about at the midpoint of the backstretch.
Racing incident, I think, on that one. It's unfortunate that it was 2 in a row for Abraham Vila to bring the race to a pause, but and Lucci was on the inside, started to blend up the racetrack, and Vila at the right time just got a run through the middle of the corner, James, and ended up making contact with Lucci. And unfortunately, that was the hardest hit that he's taken for Vila all day long. But not the best championship race for Abraham Vila, but he did make it to this point. So still a really, really good season, and still a lot of reasons for the driver out of San Jacinto College in Pasadena, Texas, the junior in chemical engineering, to hold his head high after a really good season, making it to this point.
Vila with 1 more year to try and compete in the college series. Will be a senior next year, so we'll look to see him in the next campaign of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. But this is the driver to watch right here, Steven Wilson, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, making his final start in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Graduates next month with a degree in finance and looking to go out on top, just as he did 1 year ago. Won this race at this track and won the College Series title. Logan Clampett, though, has plenty to fight for, too. Clampett, a driver who has been a Coke Series veteran, took a break, had the moment to slow down, and then, all of a sudden, is back in the fight. Taylor Burris with Steven Wilson.
Here we are with Steven Wilson. Steven, I gotta say, we are seeing that aggression level kick up, and I wonder, are we gonna see this fight all the way to the finish between you and Clampett?
Yeah, he destroyed me earlier in Corner 1. I didn't forget.
Well, we're excited to see what happens to you. Good luck out there and a good, safe race for you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any sort of ambiguity in that statement, Josh Lee. He remembers, he knows. If anything, I wonder if Clampett has that in the back of his mind as well.
And what is Wilson willing to do with that in his mind and $10,000 on the line? What's Wilson willing to do? I was getting flashbacks to the 2016 NASCAR Cup Series Championship when Edwards tried to slam the door on Joey Logano, ended up in the inside pit wall when Wilson, heading into turn 1, forced a hold to the bottom of the racetrack to try and get in line. That was a restart with 9 to go. We're restarting with 3 laps to go. He's going to need to be aggressive, and I think he's willing to be aggressive and more to get this race win.
And if something happens between Wilson and Clampett, Keep an eye on Parker White. Keep an eye on Matthews Wack. If they both end up out of contention, those two are the ones that would benefit. And that is certainly a scenario that I think is very much in the cards as well. So plenty of pieces to watch as we go back to green flag racing. 3 laps to go when they come back to the stripe. Logan Clampett waits, goes, and a better restart. I think that time for Clampett. He's going to get clear of Wilson, and Wilson immediately to the bottom.
He's going to get to the bottom, but now what will he do with it and hold on as they go 2 by 2 further back? But we're going to keep an eye on what Steven Wilson can do in these couple of laps here. Off of turn number 2, he gets a good run. Still about a car length separates them as they head down, rocketing down the back straightaway into 3.
Steven Wilson fighting, pressing, pushing. He's almost just about got into the rear of Logan Clampett and then saved it. That was a deep drive from Steven Wilson, pushing that car to the absolute edge to try and make something happen as they hit the stripe. 2 laps to go.
If anything happens, Parker White, Matthews Wack, Daniel Fulkingham, they are in the bleachers watching this happen. Logan Clampett to the outside in turn 2, almost hits the outside wall. Wilson on the bottom, side by side for the race lead. Wilson trying a side draft heading into turn 3. This could be for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Championship. Wilson powers around. Steven Wilson to the race lead. Clampett goes for the crossover. James Pike gets white flag at the line.
One more lap to decide this absolutely epic battle between Clampett and Wilson. They get into each other in the corner. There goes Clampett. There goes Wilson. They make contact once again. Clampett clears, takes the lead. Wilson with one opportunity to gather it up, and it could be absolutely chaos here down the back straightaway. What does Wilson do entering turn 3? How deep is he willing to send it? And can he get back to Logan Clampett with the deep send there? Clampett slides up the racetrack. Steven Wilson tried to reach, to lunge, and to make it happen, and it wasn't enough. And Logan Clampett is going to make it happen and screams his heart out as he wins the 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series Championship. The Trabuco Canyon, California native has his first career eNASCAR title.
Already saw some tempers flare, but it's a no problem for the driver of Logan Clampett. He takes home the $10,000 in scholarship, and he did it with no holds bar. He able to take home. Congratulations to Logan Clampett on this.
If the question, Joshua Lee, was what were you willing to do to win an eNASCAR title, Logan Clampett answered that question with a pretty resounding absolutely everything, and he got the job done.
And he had to do it to beat Steven Wilson, the last season champion, especially in this season of competition. It was so tough. Wilson had 1 win, Clampett only had 1 win. And to get it done for Logan Clampett and win the eNASCAR College iRacing Series title, I mean, that is what it was all about. 2 of eNASCAR's best side by side on the white flag lap. And Clampett proved that he was the best of the rest tonight.
21 years after the baseball team at Cal State Fullerton won a national championship, Logan Clampett delivers a national championship for the school of a different kind. The eNASCAR College iRacing Series title. Here's a look at the final lap that saw Clampett clinch the championship.
And how about this? They both were racing really hard. Yes, there was a little bit of contact here and there, but it was not that major bump and run type deal. It was good, hard, clean racing, and they really did fight for it all the way to the end. They were beating and banging. No one, though, spinning out as we were possibly expecting to happen, but they were able to fight it out through the checker flag. And Clampett right here, this is the move that guaranteed him the chance to win the big money and the championship. Just a little bit of a move, pushes Wilson up the track, and he is able to set sail down the back straightaway.
You wonder whether or not this will carry over into Coke Series competition. I have a feeling Steven Wilson will not forget that. He will probably race Clampett pretty hard over the next few weeks. But Clampett was able to clear it. But then once he got clear, Wilson had that one big drive in the corner on the last lap, Josh, but it wasn't enough. He was too far back by that point.
Yeah, at that point, he didn't really have a move to make that wasn't going to be flat out wrecking Clampett. And I do commend Steven Wilson for keeping the tempers in check a little bit. He did not go for the massive send and clean Clampett out, but James Pike, Clampett walks away a champion and race winner tonight.
Logan Clampett representing the Titans of Cal State Fullerton is your 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion over Stephen Wilson and Parker White, the two most recent Coke Series champions that Logan Clampett beat to the line. So another big accomplishment for him there. Matthew Swack representing Michigan and the University of Maine at Machias as Daniel Falkingham complete the top 5. Mario Miranda was 6th. UConn's Jose Solis Jr. was 7th, following the Oklahoma Sooner. Dylan Alt for Sacramento State was 8th. James Scioli was 9th, representing Eastern Washington. And the final driver in the scholarship money was St. John's River State College's A.J. Hyder.
Moving on to P11, it will be the driver from Triton College, Adam Garza, with Ball State's Daniel Nanny in 12th. Saddleback College's John Forbes Jr. with the University of South Carolina Beaufort, Connor Trafari in 14th. Eastern Shores Community College of Aaron Brown 15th, with, of course, the driver of Jonathan Evans from Western Connecticut State in the 16th position. Jeremy Burns, of course, right there in position from the Longhorns. And then, of course, the Drew Jua from Chattahoochee, Purdue's Jacob Bradley, and George Mason's Zach Sprouse.
Gets to a little bit of a used car lot at the end of the field. Nick Lucci does end up P21, Peter Irons P22, Jake Cummings, who's on an alternate strategy, got a wave around late. He ends up at the tail end of the lead lap, P23. We talked about the issues for Abraham Avila on the racetrack, and unfortunately issues off the racetrack kept Connor Urashak from competing tonight, but he does still end up on the results in P25. James, what a field that we had for this championship, and what a champion that we have now.
What a champion that we have. It's Trabuco Canyon, California's Logan Clampett. That is the 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion. And we'll go to Josh Lee to chat with our race winner and our driver that is $10,000 richer.
Well, Logan, we saw the emotion when you came across the line. Through 90 laps of racing, you end up the eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion. What does this moment mean to the driver, Logan Clampett?
Oh my God, man, it means so much. Last year we were just second place to Steven there last year, and it really took some fighting this year to get him. I did we did rub bumpers there for a few laps, and it's so hard to pass long run, and I didn't mean to put him in the wall earlier in the race. So I know he's not too happy with me. But I really wanted this win, man. Holy crap. I can't believe that was so intense. I don't think I've ever been in an intense racing like that for so much money besides 2021 Coke Series. But even then it wasn't, there wasn't a caution or anything like that. So this was pretty intense, and just tried my best to lock in. And thankfully, my guys helped me on the box. I recently joined Nexus Esports for the regular iRacing stuff, and such a great group of guys, man. We had Connor O'Krizik and John M. Hall on the box, and Sebastian Marin helped me out all week for this race, he helped me out so much. I got a lot better with him, and Euroshak and Dylan Alt, John Forbes, Mario and James Scioli, all those guys, man. It's I'm so happy we won this for California State University Fullerton. So thankful for everyone involved to help me get this.
Well, we got to talk a little bit about that college there with the amazing group that you have over there at California State Fullerton. What's going to be the reception when we find out? So for those who are a part of this university tuning in, watching the excitement to bring home a national championship in the world of esports competition.
I'm sure they'll be pretty hyped up. They have given me, just Cal State Fullerton overall, not even the esports program, they've given me so much support. The last year, I remember last year we won Nashville, and I walked in and saw my car and name up on all the TVs across campus. No one told me about it. No one asked. I looked over, that's my race car, man. And they did this whole article on me and stuff, and put me on the portal. They did so much. They went over the top. It's unbelievable, man. So thank you to everyone that has supported me, and I'm so happy to be able to get them this championship. Yes!
Tons of excitement, Logan, but I want to make sure we go through it. How did that last restart and those final few laps play out from your perspective?
I really did not want Steven to get side by side with me and time my restart, which he thankfully he didn't. But then I made the mistake of doing the slider line, and he got side by side with me in 3 and 4. I'm like, shoot, just try and cross him over here. And thankfully I did. And I was trying my best to take his line away in 1 and 2, and it's the last lap. Anything's gonna happen, and I figured he would drive it in 3 and 4 and try and send me up the track. So I made sure to drive it in and make sure that, he wasn't able to get back to my bumper. So thankfully that all worked out in the end.
A drive that constitutes one of the biggest of his career, and maybe a drive that might get him recognition alongside that baseball team that won the Natty some 21 years ago. Logan Clampitt, 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series champion and $10,000 in scholarship money. Richard Logan, congratulations on your championship. Logan Clampitt wins the war, and Logan Clampitt comes away with a whole bunch of scholarship money, and for what it's worth, he's only a junior. Taylor and Joshua, so we have the potential to see Logan Clampitt go back-to-back next year.
Well, as of right now, Logan Clampitt doing, Taylor, what Steven Wilson was unable to do. He has an opportunity to go back-to-back. Wilson got shut out by 1 spot and a couple feet on this one. I know that he's going to be kicking himself that he's graduating in a month's time and not going to get another opportunity.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough break for him, but we know Steven Wilson's going to be focused and locked in when it comes to the eNASCAR Coke Series, but Logan Clampitt now going to be one of those ones we're going to watch later on as things progress through this championship and future events. But I got to say, there's a lot of big potential drivers just from this college season alone that we could really see bring it up to the next level. And a lot of drivers who I have to say have done phenomenal all season long in all of the events that were hosted here in 2024-2025 season.
And Taylor, I think you make a great point. A lot of freshmen made their names in this series this year, and you're going to have the favorites like Clampitt, but some names, especially once Clampitt graduates, I think we saw some of the contenders maybe 2 years down the road potentially show their faces and make that point in this season. But for now, we talked about the paint contest for the last few races. We've had the opportunity to sample what some of these drivers have showcased on social media already through some of our broadcasts. Let's go through the entries and show off all of the submissions to the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Paint Scheme Design Contest for 2024-25. So many cool schemes here that we get to see. And we start with the University of Calgary's Connor Yurashek. I love the dino teeth there. Sort of sexy Rexy-esque into there, Josh.
I have loved seeing the Calgary Dinos be represented all season long, and it's unfortunate we didn't really get to see a whole lot of this paint on the track tonight with Yurashek's off-track issues and power going out on a very sunny day in Calgary, but great looking paint. Love the use of the teeth on the front. This really does just scream University of Calgary Dinos and great college representation.
That's a fabulous mascot there. We flip from all the red and the white to this all-black look for the final ride for Jake Cummings representing the Converse University Valkyries, Taylor.
Really nice design as well. I mean, gotta love that, just that darkness with a hint of purple to represent the colors of this university. And I gotta say, really nice design on that. Almost similar to what we see normally, but just make it pop a little extra.
It does pop purple and black. Traditionally, a very strong color combination that works well. As does this one, the green and gold of Sacramento State's Dylan Alt, who as a junior has one more opportunity to come back next year and try and win the crown.
More great college representation on this one, really utilizing the colors of California State University at Sacramento with the white, with the subtle gold, with the green. Another great looking paint from Dylan Alt, who did have some really good performance as well tonight, finished P8.
driver that really does love the Xfinity car. Here is a look at the champion's car in all its glory. Cal State Fullerton Titan Logan Clampett's submission for this paint, and you can see the elephant that represents the Titans emblazoned all over this car, Taylor.
What a great way to represent and showcase your school's mascot by putting those special fades in there where you see the Titan head all across this car, no matter where you look. Great job by the people who made this paint. Very fitting to be one of the front runners for the vote.
From the champion, we turn our attention from blue to crimson and cream. It's Mario Miranda representing the Sooners of Oklahoma out of the SEC, Josh. And what a car. For a car that I think was always going to be two-tone given Oklahoma's history with those colors, that very much carries a whole bunch of OU DNA.
Keeps the Oklahoma colors on it, and also very reminiscent of the paint that he has ran all season long. The two-tone, the white and the crimson, looking very, very sleek on the University of Oklahoma Mario Miranda Toyota Supra.
From Miranda, we turn our attention to Nick Lucci and Jacob Bradley, who submitted essentially inverses of the same scheme, but in both cases, hailing to their old gold and black, as the fight song says, over in West Lafayette.
You can't go wrong with gold and black, especially with the spec map that we are seeing so greatly utilized on iRacing to build some immaculate paints. And there you just see that gold shining in the Florida sun.
Really, really neat schemes. I enjoyed seeing these a lot over the course of the evening. This is the submission from Jacob Fifield representing SUNY Onondaga out of New York State, and a lot of neat sort of light blue chrome there, Josh.
Love the blues, love the different shades of blues as well on that one, and more just great college representations. Taking the colors of their college, taking some of the specific notes of assets of their college and kind of turning them into a paint scheme. This is a great one, and unfortunately we didn't get to see Jacob Fifield on the track tonight, but we're getting a great look at this paint scheme now and giving it the spotlight that it truly deserves.
Thomas Coonan brings the Miz for the University of Missouri, and Mizzou well represented. So many nods to the campus in Columbia all over this car, and this is just a fabulous paint scheme, I think. Not really any other way to put it, Taylor.
Absolutely. You see every spec picture when it comes to the college and some of the importance of the University of Missouri all over this. Really great job, and I gotta say, great homage to showcasing his University of Missouri.
Campus all over the hood and the side panels, tiger stripes on the roof. We saw Aaron Brown compete for Eastern Shore Community College. Here's a closer look at his paint scheme, Josh.
Love the details in this one. The soccer program at Eastern Shore Community College, very represented. You can see the subtle details of just all the school logos off the side of it as well. This is school pride for Eastern Shore Community College, showcased in a paint scheme for Aaron Brown.
Let's not forget Phi Theta Kappa represented on the rear quarter panels as well, part of one of the many activities that Brown is involved in on campus. Here is a slightly different look from Miguel Carrera representing the University of Houston Downtown Esports program with a pretty sweet logo, I think, too there, Taylor.
Yeah, pretty much so, and hopefully we'll see how that works out. But similar to what we see already utilized in the eNASCAR College Series, but a little revamp. So great job for him to put work together and build this paint for us here tonight.
Carrera with the green and the white. We go from that to green and black and chrome. This is Missouri S&T's Caleb Bryan, Joshua Lee, and this one, love the use of the spec map there to create both chrome and matte finishes on the same scheme.
The spec map, the hexagon design all up and down the sides, and it's car has been beautiful. We've been seeing it for all season long. The Missouri S&T colors on Caleb Bryan's Ford Mustang. This is another great look at a great paint scheme.
The second Missourian represented in this. How about the Mountain Man, Jeremy Burns, representing Longwood University. The Lancers well represented here, and neat that the sort of nameplate there on the side almost looks like a bit of a lance there, Taylor.
It certainly does. Really cool idea. Love the hashtag horsepower as they work their way through. And there you see, of course, the College of Longwood University, as well as even a little bit of state representation as well. And I believe that looks like to be the state of Virginia on the side as well on the car.
It is indeed. That's where you'll find Longwood University in the Commonwealth of Virginia. From Longwood, we turn our attention just a little bit north to a fellow Virginia school. This is George Mason University. Zach Sprouse and Oscar Enriquez with a dual submission, similar to that what we saw from Nick Lucci and Jacob Bradley from Purdue University in Indianapolis. Sort of inverse schemes with both green and yellow and representing the Patriots well.
Enriquez unable to represent it on the racetrack. We did see it a good amount with Zach Sprouse and representing Mason Nation on the side of that car. The yellow and green just goes so well together with the base of the black, and amazing work for the George Mason University team to get this paint scheme out. And it's, once again, another great paint scheme getting a lot of great spotlight tonight.
Jonathan Evans competed in our finale, made the top 25 in points. He represents the Wolves of Western Connecticut State, and a bit of a different take on this, but I like this one a lot for its creativity, Taylor.
Very creative indeed. A lot of great things about it. Love the color scheme of the blue, the orange, and the white. And of course, the difference, a way of utilizing the Western Connecticut logo. Of course, we normally see the Wolves on there. Switch it up a little bit. Great job as well. And I believe that might be a state plant on the hood of them as well.
I believe you're right about that. As we turn to our final submission in this contest, this was James Yardley's ride. He also competed in this race, represented the Eagles of Eastern Washington with some red, reminiscent of that famed red turf they play football on.
We saw that Eagles car up and down the field a lot tonight. These colors pop really nicely along that spec map. And as we round out the paint contest, James, so many amazing paint schemes that we have seen throughout this segment. I'm having trouble picking a winner here, honestly, James. I'm glad I'm not on the group that has chosen these winners, because I would not be able to choose one.
Well, you know, funny that you say that, Josh, because I'm going to make you do just that, but I'll give you a breather. I'll start with Taylor. Mr. Burris, do you think you have a sense and or maybe a pick as to who may win this paint scheme contest?
Oh, that's going to be a tough one. You know what? I'm going to go to the one that has the best representation of their college. I'm going to have to go with Coonan for the University of Missouri as probably the one. Great way to showcase the college, as well as all making sure they get the school colors in there.
Coonan ticked a lot of boxes with this game, no doubt about it. Josh Lee, gave you a little bit of time. Do you have a thought as to who you would pick to win this contest?
I think I'm going to give it to James Scioli. Just something about that red representing the Eagles and that college and getting it on the spec map. It just popped so good. And it looked great on the racetrack and even better kind of in that highlight that we just saw.
Do love a red race car. Do love the color red. So I definitely see the logic there. No question about it. Now, in order to pick a winner, the paint scheme contest champion was determined through a combination of just generally following the rules on paint submission on social media and making sure that you posted it to social media. Also taking into account the reactions that these schemes got on social media. And then an internal selection committee from iRacing who made the final call after factoring all of those variables in order to pick the winner. And the winner of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Design Your Ride contest is Missouri S&T's Caleb Ryan, who did a fabulous job. Yeah, you're excited about this one, aren't you? Did you expect this? Did you have any thought you were going to be the person?
No, honestly, not at all. A lot of the guys that have submitted schemes for this are just some of the absolute best painters on the service. And as someone who, you know, like I was up against guys who do this professionally, and I don't do this professionally. I just like to make my own cars, and so to get to, you know, win a little bit of iRacing credits, get a little swag bag out of this. I mean, over the moon, man. I was so disappointed that I didn't get to drive this absolute beauty of a race car tonight at Homestead, and you know, that's still going to sit with me for a little bit, but this definitely makes it a little sweeter.
Well, let's go through just the idea process of this. Where did your idea for your scheme come from, and how did you find a way to apply it to the template?
Well, the main thing was green chrome. I mean, I've run it on every car I've fielded in this competition over the last 2 years. That's kind of been like my thing. But other than that, I mean, just trying to get a little interesting with the patterns. Missouri S&T has a lot of really unique patterns that they, try to mess with in terms of, how they brand themselves and stuff. And so I figured I'd try to mess with that a little bit, see if I could find something that really matched the university identity and put that on a car, not a piece of stationery or a flyer or something, and see how I can get that to really pan out. So it was really just those two things going in. I wanted it to have the green chrome on there, the spec map, and I wanted it to just have a really unique pattern, something a little different than what you might see from other people. I mean, I did mine pretty early, so it's so hard to gauge what everyone else is going to do. But I mean, I've been seeing it on the Tuesday eNASCAR broadcast for the past couple of weeks now, and every time I saw it, I was just like, yeah, I think I did a pretty good job here, but I had no idea that this was going to win.
Now the fun question. You've got $500 in iRacing credits to play with. Is some of that going to go to a membership, or do you have an idea of content that you might be picking up with those credits? Maybe perhaps the stock cars from Gen 4 that might be coming soon, or maybe the ARCA cars? Any idea of where that money's going to go?
Well, I'm unfortunately not a big fan of the new ARCA car. Won't be ashamed to admit that. But the new Gen 4 cars are definitely catching my eyes when those come out with this upcoming season. But honestly, with that Black Friday, discount we get annually every year, I just got iRacing covered for the next couple of years off this. So I will absolutely take it.
And leave it to the mathematician to make sure that his answer includes the very best value in iRacing, because he's right. The best time to re-up your membership is during the Black Friday sale. So a sensible answer to just allow him to go racing more, but a job very well done. You beat some of the best designers. There were some heavy hitters in this content, and you made it happen. Congratulations, Caleb. You have won the paint scheme contest.
Thank you so much.
Caleb Bryan wins the paint scheme contest. We are done with the college series until the 25-26 season, but over the summer, plenty of action coming your way from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Talladega is where we go next. That broadcast coming your way Tuesday, April 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, eNASCAR.com/live, 7:30 p.m. for the pre-race. Taylor, this is going to be a fun one, but before we go, final thoughts on an amazing college year season.
Well, first and foremost, we saw a lot of great colleges represented throughout this entire championship. We saw new faces, future superstars in the world of iRacing coming to compete, and this is where we will see future champions of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series come out and race to represent their colleges. And I hope with this, we will see even more colleges get together to try and help promote those ones who do compete on the iRacing service, or convince people to join iRacing to go and represent their colleges in future of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Joshua Lee, more schools represented this year than ever before, more scholarship money given away than ever before, a bigger series than ever before, and that trend looks to continue for 25-26.
We are only going up from here. Everybody might be heading home, end of the semester, end of the year. Enjoy the summer, everybody. We're going to be back in the fall, and this series is going to just keep growing and keep getting more exciting. I am so excited for the future of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Taylor's excited. James is excited. I hope everybody at home is excited, because we are far from over with this series. It might be over for now, but come the fall, this is going to get even more awesome.
We saw freshmen make their debuts. We said goodbye to some seniors who will graduate next month. But in the heart of it all, Logan Clampett, the junior representing Cal State Fullerton out of Trabuco Canyon, California, seized the moment and picked up his first eNASCAR College iRacing Series title and walks away with $10,000 in scholarship money and is the man of the moment here in 2025. For our fantastic production team, team that has brought you all the pictures and sounds behind the scenes all year. For our team at iRacing and our director, Drew Adamson, for our partners at eNASCAR, Playflag Esports, and Logitech G, for my colleagues in the booth, Taylor Burrish and Joshua Lee, I am James Pike. Thank you so much for watching the 2024-25 eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Congratulations to our champion, Cal State Fullerton's Logan Clampett, and we look forward to seeing you once again for more eNASCAR College iRacing Series action this fall.